season. Sunday. Countdown's on. We're in the final countdown for Ovi's chase for greatness, and the Caps are flirting with President Trophy aspirations. Seattle comes into town, and both teams get an overall rank. And point number 1600, he's the 11th player in NHL history to do it. We're getting dangerously close to Wayne Gretzky firing up the private jet and following him around game to game. The Metro as a whole was busy today. Every team in the mix. Sky is falling for the Devils with the news of Hughes being out for the season. They've only won 9 of their last 26 games, but the new deadline acquisition, Cody Glass, gets on the board, and Torts fortunately decides to bench Michkov for the rest of the first. New Jersey thanks him for his service, and they pick up a big 2 points. Sidney Crosby is also officially Captain Jack Sparrow, going down with the ship. And for the last time, he faces his old teammate Marc-Andre Fleury. Both Sid and Malkin give him one last parting gift by scoring, and the Penguins beat Minnesota 3-1. We also got a wild card showdown in the Rangers Blue Jackets. Adam Fantilli has been incredible since the Sean Monahan injury. He's just stepped right up and been a dog. He scores a hattie and keeps Columbus in a playoff spot. Meanwhile, in Carolina, life goes on without Rantanen, and after all the drama, he's become public enemy number 1. It was reported that when he arrived to Carolina, he told Coach Brindamore that he'd only play for 4 teams, and the Hurricanes weren't one of them. We did a full breakdown on our channel this week of what went wrong stylistically for Rantanen. Go check that out after, but the Hurricanes seem like they'll be just fine. Mark Jankowski scores twice, tying Mikko Rantanen, and the young stud that came over for Rantanen, Logan Stankoven, best last name in the league, also adds another one. They beat the Jets 4-2. Out west, Rantanen is suiting up for game number 2 as a star. 2 points in his debut, and he gets the empty netter here, and the new cup favorites out of the West are now 8-2 in their last 10. It's a good thing they just added one of the most lethal wingers in the game. The LA Kings, though, had a relatively quiet deadline. They seem on the inevitable crash course to play Edmonton again in the first round for the 4th year in a row. But what a tilt they had with Vegas. Back and forth battle, Vegas down 1, but why do anything at the deadline when you can just call 1-800-BIG SAVE Dave Reddick? He stops just enough, leave a 5-star review for the guy, and get the Kings 2 points. Finally, we had the Ducks and Islanders. The temporary dream of Anaheim making the playoffs is fading, but Trevor Zegras is still trying to hit Michigan's. Goaltender Lucas Dostal doesn't get a lot of love out in Anaheim, but this guy is unbelievable, and he's young. I know every goalie probably looks great against loose Islanders, but he stops 31 of 32 shots, and the Ducks take the Battle of Mid 4-1 to end Sunday. Monday, McKinnon's legacy. The Nate Dogg Nathan MacKinnon is likely on his way to his second MVP trophy in as many years. First player to 100 points, and the guy is so damn good, he hit 1,000 points twice in this game. First, he hits it, the bench clears to congratulate him, and then Gary calls down, says the cameras weren't rolling because it's a Blackhawks game. They call the goal off, and they say, let's do it again, and that's exactly what the dog does. Cue the celebration all over again. Avs get their free 2 points from Chicago and move on. It's also the second night in a row where we get a big wild card game between the Red Wings and Sens. Probably one of the better rivalries over the last few years, despite these two teams being the faces of the Bermuda Triangle of Mid. But the Sens are right on the edge of shaking that title. Ottawa fans get giddy seeing their new prize in Dylan Cousins tickling the rafters, and Team won home to give them the lead. But the real story in this one was Linus Ullmark. Buddy was a wall. He stopped 48 shots and the kitchen sink that Detroit threw at him. But in the final seconds, the Red Wings think they got a buzzer beater. No. Too slow, they don't beat the clock, and they lose their 6th in a row. For some reason, this team only knows how to win and lose in 6 or 7 game increments. Meanwhile, the Sabres are riding their own 6-game losing streak as well. But they are the best damn lottery team in the league, and you know that they're going to play their best when it doesn't matter. McDrysaddle gets their cookies, but Tage Thompson double dips the chip, and the Oilers lose what should be a gimme. 3-7 in their last 10, with the Kings breathing down their neck for that second spot. Then we got the Leafs in Utah. Toronto up 3-0 early in the second, planned the parade, and signed Simone Benoit to a WWE contract. This guy is looking like Roman Reigns going for the Superman punch. He gives us one hell of a picture, but too bad he completely missed and pays the price for it right after. At least it looked cool, but the Leafs are having problems holding leads lately, and shocker, they blow a 3-goal one to Utah, who dominated in this one. The Leafs sneak into a shootout. First Matthews with the old changeup, and then Marner with the dagger as the Leafs survive the choke to end Monday night. Tuesday, bad blood. We now live in a world where Brad Marchand is a Florida Panther. I'm not even a Bruins fan, and it makes me nauseous just thinking about it. The The guy clearly wanted to be a Bruin, but Boston refused to pay the man his money and have potentially created an unstoppable monster in Florida. Unfortunately for all of us tonight, Marchand wasn't ready to go as Florida visited Boston for the final time this season. Even though Boston sold the farm at the deadline, they're still in this wild card race. Florida goes up 2-0 in the third. Boston looks like they go quiet in the night. No way. This game, on top of all the history between these two teams, means just a little bit more now. The Bruins score 3 straight in the third period, and then Nikita Zadorov sends a message by beating the brakes off of Sam Bennett. Bennett was holding on to Pasta for dear life as he's getting ragdolled, and Boston loves it. TD Garden is going wild, and rightfully so. This was the gutsiest win of the season for Boston. With all the drama surrounding their captain, they're now just 2 points out of a wild card spot. Can you imagine they sneak in and play Marchand and the Panthers in the first round? Could be electric. If that's going to happen, though, the Sens need to slow down, but they are humming right now. Defensively, look at this play by Matthew Highmore to keep the 1-goal lead. Empty net, and he bats it out of the air like he's prime Vernon Wells. Less is more for him, and the Sens' new addition of Dylan Cousins keeps on buzzing. He just goes upstairs to tickle the peanut butter, and he may very well be the best ad at the deadline if the Sens sneak in and he keeps up his play. Ottawa wins their 4th in a row, and that's huge considering that the Devils took care of business against Columbus, so they stay in the wild card 1 seed for now. Meanwhile, Sid the middle-aged man, still cooking. Another 2-goal game for him. Tristan Jarry is back from Shanghai. He makes 35 saves, and they steal 2 points from Vegas. They got to look in the rearview mirror for Edmonton and LA as the Kings beat Lose Islanders to try and close the gap on home ice advantage in the playoffs. Now, Tampa fans, this is my formal apology for temporarily jinxing you after saying I would be scared shitless to play you and the red-hot Vasilevsky in the first round. You have now lost both games since I made that statement, so feel free to let me hear it in the comments, but damn it, do the Hurricanes look good right now. Rantanen, all-world finisher and rush player, but the Kane system relies on a dump and chase, grind you down style. The buy-in looks as strong as ever right now as they've won 5 in a row. The Jets are also sniffing around a potential President Trophy, and their win against the Rangers will tell you exactly how. Reason number 1, league's best power play. Gabe Vilardi, game winner, thanks for having me. And of course, reason number 2, Connor Hellebuck. He holds the Rangers to 1 goal, and the Jets get another 2 points. Let's see it in April, though, fellas. Come on. Now, a Rangers loss there is money in the eyes of Habs fans. Juraj Slafkovsky, the kid made a vow to play a meaner and uglier style of game after the Four Nations, and he's lived up to his word. 3 points in this one for him, and really that top line for Montreal of Suzuki and Caulfield has been dynamite lately. Massive 2 points for them. They stay right in the mess for the wild card with that dub. And with all this meaningful hockey going on, what a treat for an all-time toilet bowl matchup between the Sharks and Preds. 2 heavyweights in this class going at it, and Steven Stamkos continues to stay hot. Another goal in this game for him as he's won everything but a toilet bowl, but that changes tonight. They beat the last place Sharks to win their 4th in a row. That's the longest win streak for them this season. Book a trip to a U2 concert. Let's keep this streak going. Also, couple of snaps here for the Wild. They are still a walk-in hospital with injuries to guys like Kaprizov, Eriksson Ek, and Brodin, but they are battling. Avs are red hot, winning 6 in a row coming into this one with the Dog leading the league in scoring, but the Wild shut him down, keep him off the score sheet, and win in a shootout. Ballsy effort from them. Final game is the Caps versus Ducks. Ovi on the edge of history, decides to become an all-world playmaker. 3 assists on the night and none better than this play with the empty net. He chips it over to Protest so that he can get his first career hat trick. Pure class from the grade 8. No goals for him tonight, but that is a true captain right there as the Caps win their 5th in a row. Wednesday, showtime. The Red Wings versus the Sabres. It is desperation time for Detroit. Holy boys. You got to act like you want to at least get into the dance. 6-game losing streak, but they're still right in the mix for that last spot. Here we go. Need a big game? Patrick Kane. Showtime. 36 years old. This guy dials back the clock, puts up a 5-point night, and torches Buffalo on the peeper. 7-3 game for Detroit. You know things are going to start to get out of hand. Gen Z line brawl, baby. 1 or 2 fights with everyone else hugging it out. Still, tensions are boiling over, so Stripe says everyone gets a game misconduct. See you later. And both benches end up looking like a standard turnout to an 11 p.m. beer league game. Detroit snaps the 6-game losing streak and sits 2 points back of Columbus for the last spot. Habs fans are paying attention. The kids in Montreal are trying to do something special this year. Uri Slavkovsky is playing with that swagger. Second goal of the night, and he hits the no-celly. Another day at the office for him. This game needed OT, though, and if you grabbed a beer for the start, you missed the goal. Brandon Montour scores the fastest OT goal in NHL history. 4 seconds in, Seattle completes the comeback and takes a really important point for Montreal. Over in Utah, they're trying to be the first team to make the playoffs with no name. And Mikhail Sergachev is doing everything, including playing goalie to make it happen. Wide open cage, Vejmelka fish out of water, and Sergachev kick save with the toe. Remy Faso, huge play. Dylan Gunther follows it up. He's got a shot from hell and wires one. That is the game winner. Utah is now 2 points back of a playoff spot, chasing both Calgary and Vancouver, who are going toe-to-toe tonight. Quinn Hughes, the Batman, he's back in the lineup, and this one had playoff feel all over it. Back and forth matchup. Both these teams need it badly. Huberdeau gets 2 goals, and Petey ties the game late, looking like his old self. Canucks fans like that, and they like his shootout goal more. Both teams get a point, but the Canucks take the extra one and now tie the Flames for that last spot in the West. Thursday, sensational. Big wild card game between the Bruins and Sens. Every game from here on out for these two teams is basically a playoff game. And Boston gets haunted by the ghost of Linus Ullmark. 2-goal lead, and this guy leaps over like Superman to rob Mason Lohrei. Lauco can't believe it. Sens fans can't believe that they actually finally have a number 1 goalie, and that's win number 5 in a row for them. Nice little 5-point cushion as well from the last wild card spot, and give me that Kachuk Bowl to start the first round. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Leaf fans, but you're probably not going to win the division. Even though Max Domi came out on fire, rocking Verhaeghe and then dropping the mitts with his dad in the crowd, the Panthers are just too damn good and look like they're going to take the division as the big boys show up for them and they don't for Toronto. That win for Florida builds a 4-point buffer between them and second place. Tampa's in third, and with no Kucherov against Philly, they lose in the shootout. Philly's an odd one, another year of them sucking and players getting the torch treatment. It may very well be his last season as coach. So let's just enjoy all his quotes while we can. Now, one of the better stories of the year is in Columbus has run headfirst into the wall that is Vegas. Adin Hill, 27 save performance. That gets him a nice juicy contract extension the next day. Nice. On top of that, Eichel became the franchise leader for points in a season with 80 on the year. Pretty wild that's the high considering all their success. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, is blowing their shot at a lottery pick. Shocker. Captain Sid, another 2-point night. Tristan Jarry never wants to go back to Shanghai. He has another 32 save performance, and they hand the Blues a bad L. For St. Louis, that's one you gotta have, and they fall short. Now, who's unwillingly riding the struggle bus lately? It's the Oilers. New Jersey, with no Jack Hughes, gets a monster 3-point game from Jesper Bradatui, and that loss for Edmonton means they're 3-7 in their last 10. They may just blow home ice advantage to LA as the Kings shut out Ovi and the Caps. That's 4 wins in a row for them now. NHL refs were also on one tonight. Matt Rempe gets an interference penalty for being too damn tall. My guy just skates right into him and falls, and they call him for basically being Matt Rempe. However, the puck don't lie. Braden Schneider, all hands team, activates Twinkle Toes and buries an OT. Rangers get a huge 2 points. Finally, we get the toilet bowl of all toilet bowls. Chicago versus San Jose, battle of the basement, Celebrini versus Bedard. We get to see which young phenom spirit will break first from all the losing. It may just be Connor Bedard, though. The kid goes to have a chat with the ref. Stripes is pretty sensitive, and he gives him a 10-minute misconduct. Afterwards, Bedard said he had no clue what he got the 10-minute misconduct for, but it just seems like in his sophomore season, he's going through it. Yet, he's actually still having a relatively decent season on an all-time brutal team. Neither prodigy ends up recording a point, but the Sharks take the Toilet Bowl Classico to end Thursday. Friday, MVP race. People may have McKinnon as the lock for the MVP, but Leon Draisaitl is right there. He leads the league in goals, comes onto the island and says, "Hop on, fellas, we're getting 2 points." First, a clap bomb straight from the Paul Kariya handbook, and then second, the OT winner. He does it all himself with an MVP-esque performance. Speaking of, the Nate Dogg was also in action against the Flames, and Calgary actually kept them off the score sheet, but they themselves still can't score. That's a little bit problematic when you're smack dead in the middle of a wild card race. Can't tell if that's better or worse than what Red Wings fans are going through, though. Every time there's a flicker of hope, they just piss it all away. The Hurricanes post-Rantanen era could be back on the certified wagon list. They beat Detroit to win their 6th in a row, and the Hurricanes fans win twice tonight because the Jets beat the Stars with ease 4-1. Winnipeg is back to being the best team in the NHL, and no one's sold that will be the case come late April. The Ducks and Preds, though, they don't got to worry about hockey at that time. Might be a little bit early for the Ducks, but the Preds can certainly start booking some tee times now after their 4-game Cinderella win streak comes to an end. We also had the expansion or relocation bowl, whatever you want to call it. Your drunk uncle probably gets these two teams mixed up all the time, Utah and Seattle. This is a big one for Utah. With a win, they can tie the Canucks and Flames for the last spot. However, Seattle brings the book of Eli Tolvanen. 3-point night for him. He sprinkles it off with a dagger empty netter as Seattle spoils Utah's chance to finally get in a playoff spot. Saturday, hockey night. Here we go. Jack Eichel, the one guy that got away for Buffalo, is back. And what do you know? He's breaking their hearts again. 2 minutes remaining. He scores to give them the late lead. He's probably thinking, let's get the hell out of Buffalo and back to Vegas. But hold your horses, Jack. We gotta finish. Thomas Hertl tries to get cute and be a nice guy and feed Eichel for the empty netter. Whoops, does that ever backfire? Buffalo comes back, scores with the empty net, and then wins in a shootout. There's not usually a lot of wins in Buffalo, but giving Eichel the double bird whenever they can is definitely considered a huge win. The Ovi chase is also in San Jose, and he becomes Tippy Longstockings to put himself just 8 away from the record. What this man is doing is unprecedented. At 40 years old, he's got 34 goals on the season. This guy would be in contention for the Rocket Richard Trophy if he didn't get hurt. The Caps keep on rolling, and so do the Hurricanes. Mark Jankowski, this guy is turning into their Timu version of Mikko Rantanen. 4 goals in 41 games in Nashville. That's his 3rd goal in 4 games for Carolina. Stay hot. The Hurricanes win their 7th in a row. Then we had a monumental matchup for the last wildcard spot in the East between the Rangers and Blue Jackets. Both are tied at 70 points, so this one is huge, and Igor picked one hell of a night to have a shutout. 21 stops, Vinny Trocheck gets 2, and the Rangers find themselves in the last wildcard spot despite all the circus that happened this season. Personally, I don't care what anyone says. Regardless of where you finish in the standings in the East, I don't think any matchup is going to be a cakewalk. Tough goal for Columbus as well lately. Hell of a story this season, but they lose their 3rd in a row at a really bad time, especially because they get leapfrogged by the Canadiens, who put on a ballsy performance against the defending Cup champs. Cole Caulfield, a little 1-1 on the stat sheet, helps Montreal to a big win, and they got points in 9 of their last 10. It definitely seems like one bad or good week in the East right now can completely change your season. That makes the Battle of Ontario mean something again. Toronto slumping, Ottawa on a roll, and I really like the Sens game lately. We dropped the breakdown yesterday of their game. Check that out after this video, but they play a Florida style of system that just pisses you the hell off. The Leafs can't take the heat, and they get swept in the season series as Ottawa wins their 6th in a row. The parade, let me tell you, is so far canceled, it's not even funny. They went from maybe they can actually win the division to worrying about losing home ice advantage in the first round. What's even funnier is that if you look at the Penguins' 2nd and 3rd star of their game against the Devils, both of them were ex-Leafs that were dealt at the deadline. Can't make this stuff up. Meanwhile, Tampa absolutely dominates Boston to leap Toronto for 2nd in the Atlantic, and boy did they put on a clinic. The Bruins didn't even have a shot in the 2nd period, and they got booed off the ice at the end of the game. Out west, Jordan Kyrou gets a hattie against the hospitalized Minnesota Wild to win 5-1, and damn is that team ever missing Kirill Kaprizov. The Kings, on the other hand, win their 5th in a row by shutting out the Preds, which isn't really hard to do considering they can't score, but would you look at that? They jump Edmonton for 2nd to potentially have home ice advantage in the first round. Hey, when you've lost 3 years in a row to the same team, you're looking for absolutely anything to get an advantage. Whether it actually ends up being a factor, only time will tell. Now finally, it looks like Elias Pettersson is starting to get in a groove. But he's feeling confident, toe drag rip in this one. He's got 4 goals in his past 5 games, and if the Canucks are going to sneak into the playoffs, Pettersson must be his old self. These last few games, he's looked exactly like that, and it's a great sign. The Canucks beat the Hawks, and somehow Connor Bedard picks up another 10-minute misconduct out of the scrum. 2nd game in a row, kid's becoming a goon. I don't know if the kid just can't catch a break or this guy's got some of the most offensive chirps of all time. Either way, love the jam, even though the season's a write-off and the Hawks stink. So, What did you think of week 23 of the NHL season? Who surprised you? Who pissed you off? Let us know in the comments down below. And as always, if you want the best breakdowns and recaps of the entire NHL season, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a video.